I want to thank every single person who came, all the sponsors. You guys are making a difference. I don't know how many of you have been affected by the situation, but every night in America, 21 million kids will go to bed without their biological father. 10 million of those will have not seen their father in 1 year or longer. And I can guarantee you there's a heck of a lot of those dads that would give everything they have for just one more second with their own kids. And unfortunately, society is paying the price. Right now, when you look at rampant teenage pregnancy rates, incarceration rates, behavioral problems, all of those, 70 to 94% of those are tied to growing up without one of the parents. If you take a child, the two heroes, when I was growing up, my two heroes was my mom and dad. And for most people, that's the way it was. And if you take one of those out of that child's life, you're just asking for problems. And that's why we end up with all this. And I want you to think from the parent's perspective. And we're talking a lot about dads, and this does affect both genders, but I can just tell you as a dad, what it feels like on a Sunday night to come home to an empty house. And you leave the toys laying on the floor because you just want to soak up every memory. You don't want to put those toys away. That you close the bedroom door because you can't stand walking past that empty bedroom all week long. And that's why we're here tonight, is to try and make a difference. Amen. And unfortunately, this has been caused by Title 4D. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but anytime the government gets involved with something, they may start out with a good intent, but you end up with mission creep. And there was a program that was started to try and help out, because years ago it was primarily women that were affected, because years ago if the man worked and the woman stayed at home and they got a divorce, it was going to be very hard for a woman to make an equal standard of living. And so a lot of women went on welfare. And as a result, there were some people not paying child support, and the government created a program with great intent to say, you know what, we're going to try and get some of these people to ante up to make sure they're paying child support. Unfortunately, they created some federal funding. And pretty soon, the wonderful people in our government decided that, you know what, the deadbeat dads don't have any money. Their child support orders are so low, we're not qualifying for this federal incentive pool. So they had mission creep and did a drastic expansion in 1998. Which made basically, as of right now, over 85% of all the money that the government is going after has nothing to do with anyone that would ever qualify for welfare. They're trying to figure out how to get to the middle class people because they can qualify for more federal money. And the states compete amongst this money based on child support. It has nothing to do with quality time. And I do agree that kids need financing, but I'll tell you what kids need more of. They need quality time with both parents. That's how you're going to make a difference in kids. And I'll tell you what, the tide is turning all across America. This year, we had bills in over 30 states across America addressing shared parenting. Right now, we have over 800,000 people on over 800 Facebook pages that are joining and locking arms saying, you know what, it's time to make a change. And we've got people like a Zach Martin that are rising up. We got people like the representatives that were here, Nathan and Jared, that are saying, hey, you know what, it's time now, the time has come. And I don't know how many of you are old enough like me to remember 1980 when Herb Brooks took that U.S. hockey team to the Olympics. And it started out being about hockey when they first started, because the Russians had beaten the you-know-what off of us for 20 years. And for 20 years they kept saying the Soviets were unbeatable. And Herb Brooks said, I don't believe that. I believe if we change our strategy and we come up with some new techniques and we work harder, we can beat them. And early on, I don't know if anybody remembers 1980, but early on it was just people like me that played hockey that were just glued to our TV set every single night watching those games. But after a couple of victories, the entire country started watching those games. And people that have never watched a game in their life were glued to that TV set. Why? Because it wasn't about hockey anymore. It was about America. It was about being proud of our country again, and people were uniting. And that same united strength is going on right now with the shared parenting movement across the country. We have groups that are all locking arms saying, you know what, our time has come. And if we tweak our strategy just a little bit, we can make a difference. And we have been making a difference. In the last 3 months, I've been very fortunate to meet with the Trump administration, with Mike and Karen Pence, with Department of HHS, senior members of the House and the Senate. And we are currently in some serious talks to make a drastic change to Title IV, that if this happens, we will make the most dramatic effect for kids across America from the last 25 years. And I'll tell you what, you guys being here tonight are a part of that. Zach Martin is a part of that. Kids Deserve Dads is a big part of this. So I thank every single one of you for being here. I encourage you to support Zach as much as you can. I'm doing more of a national effort. This isn't about my group, but in case you're wanting to know, I do have a Facebook page for Americans for Equal Shared Parenting. But I don't want any money tonight going to my group. The money goes to Dads Can Too to stay here in Wyoming. And I just encourage all of you, even if you're not, and like I said, it's hard talking about this. Because I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of dads go through this. And I've seen so many dads that got so discouraged, they couldn't go on any further. And I've had a lot of personal friends that aren't around anymore, and those kids will never know their dad. Because the dad said the deck stacked against them, I have no hope anymore. And I'll be doing this till the day I die. Because I don't ever want to get another one of those phone calls. And so some of you may say, you know what, I'm not affected by this. I'll tell you what, all of us are affected by this. If you've got any love in your heart for kids, you need to make sure that those kids grow up with a mom and a dad. And that they never miss out on that chance. So thanks again, everybody.